So we just met, but I already feel I'm like so excited to chat with you. As I was saying, the anticipation for these conversations is always so much more. Also because like you don't always know what you're gonna get either.
Oh,
you know, like it's
ever.
not like I'm always pre-screening or like know the people, and I'll do my due diligence, but like you never know how someone's gonna be on a podcast. Anyways, I already feel chill with you.
Oh,
so that feels
good. I'm definitely easy. I'll roll with whatever happens.
And we're twins, so we're on the same wavelength.
Which is so funny that like everybody today like got the memo.
Literally today, I didn't know what to wear, and I looked on I save outfits in my save folder in Instagram, and I was just like, how can I copy a look that I think is cute?
Because I like
didn't
smart.
know what to do.
Who do you like to follow for outfit inspiration?
Lauren Jade Styling, Coco Schiffer, Allison Bornstein.
I love Allison stuff.
She's so good.
Yeah, she's so good.
Yeah. I'll keep thinking, but
okay.
So you were just saying,
sure we write those down, Caroline.
Do you feel comfortable talking about all the shit that's hitting the fan in your life right now?
Yes.
Or some of it? Yeah. I'm like, because you have your own podcast, so do you usually talk about this personal shit on your podcast?
I mean, I touch on it, but I also, because it's so guest driven that I'm usually like diving into their shit.
Yeah. Okay, well then this is fun. You get to have a little bit of diving into your shit moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we were just meeting and getting sorted, and you were saying like things are kind of crazy for you right now.
Yes.
You're having issues with your best friend, with your sister, with your dad. Everything is kind of...
Yes.
So like... in these moments, what do you do?
I mean, I'm back in therapy again.
Okay.
So I had this amazing therapist in LA, Shandi Zandy, if anybody wants to see her. I saw her for probably 15 years. And then we moved to, and I was seeing her virtually from New York.
Okay.
But I
like
think
once a week, was
once
it?
a week.
Yeah.
And then we do couples therapy. My husband and I have always been in couples therapy. But I stopped seeing Shandi's in like 2022. I got busy with a book tour, and I was actually having just like some PTSD because my brother had a stroke and like my dad had a double craniotomy, and it was just like I felt like my life was just like bifurcated into two halves. It's like who I was before all this shit happened to my family, and then who I was after. And so I wanted to see a therapist in person, but the first person I went to in New York like wanted to read like my tarot cards, and I'm like, okay, hold on. No, like I've had somebody really good who's held me accountable for so many years that I can't backtrack now. And so I couldn't find anybody. And so I stopped looking for the last 2 years, and I've just kind of been like freeballing it.
Yeah, as we do.
As one does. And then recently I'm like, no, I need to get back with somebody good. So I just met this new woman. I don't know how it's going to go.
Finding a therapist is so difficult. I literally have never found one that I liked until this past year, honestly.
In LA?
In LA.
Yeah.
And I tried so many. I lost my dad when I was like 28 years old. Everything in my life was always great. I just had a very idyllic childhood, and life was great, and then shit hit the fan when I was in my late 20s, and it was just like, whoa, now there's a gray tint on everything. And anyways, I finally met someone that I like, but like even her, I don't know if I tell her like everything. Yeah. You need to go to
Shandi's. She's here.
You feel comfortable telling her everything, telling your therapist everything?
Yeah, she knew everything, I think.
Yeah.
I think by the end, yes. Yeah. Sometimes we'll hold things back or tiptoe around things, and then I end up needing to.
Yeah, it's like an integral part of the solution.
Yes,
I know. I'm like, maybe mine isn't the one if I'm not telling her everything.
She's so good.
Shandi's, okay.
Yeah.
So, all right, so let's talk about
ad for Shandi's sometimes.
So, since our first meeting, let's talk just a little bit like your origin story. Where are you from? What did you like?
I'm from Arizona. I moved to San Diego when I was young, and then I lived all over the place because my parents got divorced, and I like followed my mom into different relationships she got in, and I was always in a new school. I ended up moving back to live with my dad for high school.
Okay.
And my sister lived with my mom. So that was
challenging.
bizarre, looking at it now, like of my own children, I'm like, I would never allow that.
Did you choose to live with your dad?
Well, my mom at one point was like, you guys need to go live with your dad.
Okay.
Because I don't know how to be a mom anymore.
Okay.
And then my sister wanted to go back and my mom allowed it. And then we went back for a year, and then my mom sort of reiterated this same sentiment. And so we moved back to my dad, and then my sister moved back again. And I stayed with my dad. And so I finished high school in Arizona. I went to UCLA.
Amazing.
I was a theater major. I started working when I was in college and doing like film and TV stuff. And then I had like sort of a meltdown. I lost like a really big job and like freaked out, and I was anorexic, and I ended up moving to Germany. I graduated college a year early.
Okay.
And I moved to Germany, and I lived with this guy that had been a foreign exchange student at my high school that I met when I was studying in Paris my sophomore year in college.
Okay.
Fell madly in love with him, lived with him and his family in Germany. I speak fluent German because of this.
Yeah.
Well, I only lived there. I lived there for like 6 months, like living with them.
Okay.
But I was in this relationship for 2.5 years.
Wow.
And so his parents like became sort of like the parents I always wanted. It was like so,
He was like filling this hole for
me
you.
because it was like I never had a mom and a dad under one roof, and it was like great that I could like barely understand them because then I could idealize them and they were perfect in my eyes. And like my mom was very hot and like sexualized and kind of like a Barbie, and this mom was very motherly and maternal and like not that, and it was all the things that I needed. So I had that experience, and then of course it's like I was like no guys, I have to go get famous. I can't stay here forever. Like don't fall in love with me. This is temporary. I just needed to heal. So then I moved back to LA and I continued acting. And I was in a a long-term relationship with this guy that like I think everybody thought I would stay with, and I think that like I knew it wasn't like I knew that I wasn't like happy, and it had nothing to do with him. It was just like it wasn't the right path for me. Because like he was amazing to me, like no shade to him, but I knew like I had to get out. It's like when you're in your late 20s, you could be with somebody amazing, but it's like if you know that you're not feeling the right, and even if it on paper looks right,
completely,
you have to trust your gut.
You have to trust
because
your gut.
Otherwise
you feel
you'll
like
fuck up your life.
No, you're so right.
So I ended up ending that relationship. Thank God I had like the strength, because it was like. It was hard. Everything, it was so comfortable.
Yeah.
We were living in a big house. We had dogs. Like it was super comfortable. And it was 4.5 years. And then I ended up just like kind of making that call and leaving.
Good for you.
And then I think the universe rewards you sometimes for having that courage.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So then like I got this movie. I met Jason. And then like 9 months later, I was like married. I mean, it all went so fast after that.
And was that like love at first sight?
No, when I first met him, I was like, no. So what happened was I was auditioning for this movie, and one of the producers asked me if I wanted to see the audition tapes, because he's like, do you want to see the girls that you're reading against? And like, I don't know, when you're kind of like back then when you were auditioning in LA, and you were at like a certain level, it was the same girls over and over. It was the same like 10 girls. And we were like all like kind of like, I would always see them. So to have
in
access,
the circuit.
to have access to their tapes, I was like, yes, motherfucker, show me. Like, I want to see what she's doing in the room that's so different from what I'm doing.
Totally.
And it was like really, it was great because you see like, oh, it's nothing. Like that nobody's doing anything different. It's just and now being on the other side of it, I'm like, I just choose people based on like, you seem more like my mom. I think it's your job.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with like their talent.
No.
So I watched the audition tapes, and then he said, oh, while you're at it, look at these other 2 tapes. It's the 2 guys we're choosing between. One is Jason Biggs and one is this other actor. And I was like, well, definitely give it to the other guy, because like, fuck Jason Biggs. Like, he's already famous. Like, who cares? Like, that's not fair. Like, the other guy needs a break.
Like, give him a break. Yeah.
And I was just like projecting all my own issues onto the situation. And then I watched the tapes, and I say to this day, like, Jason gave an incredible audition. Like, fucking kick ass. Like it was flawless.
What was it for?
It was for this Kate Hudson movie, My Best Friend's Girl.
Okay.
So then I called that dog and I said, no, he was like amazing. You have to give it to him. I didn't realize he was such a good actor, you know, because I was like a theater major and I was snob and
You're
I
like
just knew
American
who he
Pie.
was. Yeah, I knew who he was through like American Pie. I'm like, what? He's not a thespian, is he? Even though like little did I know he'd like been in Broadway at like age like 9. But yeah, so Jason got the role. And then I got cast in the movie. We went on a double date before either of us knew we were going to be in the movie because the guy afterwards was like, I want you to meet him. We went out and I think I was just guarded with Jason because I had like maybe like slept with people who were famous, but like I hadn't like dated somebody who was famous. And I didn't like it.
You didn't?
No, I was like, I didn't like it. It was really annoying.
In what kind of way?
Because I was just like, oh, you think just because like that I'm going to give a shit about like, or, you know, people treated him differently and we'd walk in new rooms and it was just like, I watched, you see like the best and the worst of people.
Totally.
I watched just like
weird power dynamics.
The power dynamic. And I was like, I'm not,
I don't want to be involved in this.
I'm not a fucking fan of yours. I don't need you.
Right.
You know, my dad pays my rent. You know what I mean, though? Like, I was kind of just like, fuck you.
Totally.
I have my own life and I don't need to be, I'm not going to like get something out of being with a celebrity.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's something that like, unfortunately for celebrities, not like unfortunately, but they can't control. You know what I mean?
And he's always like, what did I ever do to you? All I've ever done is like support you and fucking love you. And you've always had a chip on your shoulder about the fact that other people treat me differently.
But it plays a role. It completely changes the dynamic of the relationship. I always think I'm nowhere near the level of Jason Biggs or like anything. But I always wonder if Timmy gets annoyed if like things are in my name or like the amount that I get or whatever it is.
For sure.
You know?
For sure. It's hard. You have to have a lot of ego strength to be able to handle that.
Totally.
And at 28 years old, I did not.
You didn't. Yeah.
Now I'm fine with it. Now like American Pie pays for my apartment in New York City and I'm fine with it. But at the time, I was not.
Yeah. And so you dated for 9 months and got married.
Yes. And we got married quickly because we got pregnant.
Okay.
And I was like, oh my God, now you've really hijacked my life. Like, fuck you. I can't believe this. Like, I have so much
getting out now.
I have so much to do. And
How old were you?
I was like 28.
Yeah, 28.
And I'm like, I can't have a child. I'm a mere child myself. And like, I haven't done enough with my life. And so like I turned on him and I was like, I'm having an abortion. Definitely. Like I remember we were in Vermont and I was like skiing like a fucking like hell on wheels. I'm like, I hope I just like have a fall and like bleed out on the mountain. But I didn't, even though, by the way, I did take a morning after pill. Like literally, I never had unprotected sex. I was pretty like neurotic because my mom was like in AIDS research. Like I grew up like
very responsible.
Parents in medicine. Like I was scared of everything. But I had unprotected sex. I was on ecstasy. And I was at the W Hotel, so classy, in Times Square in New York City. I was going to
say, I hope not in Westwood, in Times Square. Oh my God, that's where they used to put us up when we were on MTV. Oh my God, you were in the W
on ecstasy. It was like one night.
Ooh, that sounds awful.
I took a morning after pill the next day, and then I was still pregnant.
Dead. You took one within the time and it didn't work.
Within the 72 hours, guys, everyone listening.
Wow.
And then, I should have like gone out that night and like found one. Maybe I should have like crushed them and snorted them. I don't know, but I did it wrong. However, I did it. And then, so then I was pregnant. I was definitely planning to have an abortion, 100%. And then I started to freak out because my parents had an abortion, like, and my mom always like acted like that somehow led to the demise of their relationship. And I started to get super guilt-ridden that like, what if this guy is the one? And if I do this, am I my mother? Am I repeating a pattern? Like, oh my God, what if it like destroys our relationship?
It's so amazing that you were able to connect to that though.
I started spinning.
Yeah.
But so I was like, okay, I guess we're just gonna have a kid. I guess this is what's happening.
Yeah.
And then I miscarried at like 3 months. But after that, and of course I was so psyched. I was like,
bet, yeah.
I'm free. I'm like, give me the fucking raw tuna. Like, I'm so
All of
happy
it.
I'm free and I don't have to stay with you. And then like at that point though, I was like, oh fuck, I think I'm in love with him because it also bonded us.
I'm sure.
And it also got me over my fear of commitment in general.
Because it was like it just hit you in the face, and all
I
of a
was
sudden
like,
you had
whoa.
to see your future, and you were like, wait, actually, this feels really good.
Yeah, because and then it was like once you're willing to have a kid with somebody, like getting married to them doesn't
feel
really
as
feel
big
like
of a
anything.
deal. No, totally.
So
Like
then
having
we're
the
like, I
kid
guess
is
we'll
the
just get
crazy
married.
part. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay. Amazing. And how long have you guys been married?
It'll be 18 years in April.
Oh my God. And
Yeah.
3 kids?
2 kids.
2 kids.
Yes.
Oh my God. And so how old are they?
How old are they? I'm like blanking.
So they're like-
one is 10, about to be 11 in February, and one just turned 7.
Okay. And how has raising them in the city been?
Well, I loved it at first. I was in LA when we
Yeah.
first had Sid, and
Okay.
I started to spiral. I feel like living in LA, you're just kind of. I felt like banished to motherhood.
Yeah.
I felt like I
Yeah.
couldn't have my own identity, and if I left the house, I would be gone all day. And to get back to him took like at least 45 minutes to an hour. And there was just no way for me personally. I didn't feel like I could have that duality or like do both things. And I also was like in the throes of postpartum and decided that my house that we just bought in Benedict Canyon was haunted. And then a psychic told me that it was a ghost dog, but he had an old man partner and I couldn't separate them. And then the old man wanted to teach my son historical facts. That was when I was out. I was like, list the house. I'm fucking out of here.
Getting out of LA.
So yeah, I owned the house for 6 months and then had to convince Jason that I was just so in love with New York City that I felt we should move there.
And was he resistant at first?
No, Jason sort of went with it. I don't know now. And when Jason tells the story, he's like, I always wanted to get Jenny to live in New York. But I feel like Jason just tells himself that now. I don't think that was really something he
On
was
his
thinking.
radar.
He
Especially 6 months after buying a house in
we had a
Benedict.
tennis court. He just put in like a pizza oven.
Oh my
He
God.
was loving his fucking life. But, you know, his family lives in Jersey. We owned a small apartment in New York already.
Okay.
So we were living there because he was doing a show at the time. And we had to be there for 6 months. And Jason, I know he loves New York. I mean, he grew up, you know, I think that was
So
always a
close to
dream
it.
of his. But I definitely like, you know, had to work it to make that happen.
Yeah. I fantasize about moving to the city. My husband's from there.
Oh.
So he's like, we met when I was working in the city, and then he moved here, and he just like loves life here. Loves
it is a good life here.
But I feel the same. Like you just said it so like on point about how you weren't really able to feel your like that
No.
identity, that part of yourself
Not
that
at all.
really lives in a city like New York, where it just makes it easy. It makes it easy to just like be spontaneous and
Oh my God.
meet
and
a friend
it's a
for a
cruise
drink.
ship, so
and
it's
like,
like you
yeah,
can do everything all the time.
totally.
And
have
being a
access
mom,
to everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like I could be a mom upstairs and then like disappear downstairs to have 10 meetings back to back and then go
Completely.
back upstairs and be
And
back
be
to
a mom.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And it wasn't so like
I didn't have to
having to make
choose.
these choices all
Yeah.
the time or being in a bubble. Like today, I was just in my house all morning until I got in my car to come here, and then I'll get in my car to go back
No.
home.
Oh,
and
yeah.
like
I was so isolated
It's like
here.
there's that very few interactions. Like
Yes.
yeah. Where
No, it's like life confronts you, whether you want it to or not.
right, you have no
getting it.
choice. I know, and I like that. It's refreshing to me, and it
Yeah.
makes me feel like I'm part of humanity more.
Well,
like
and
I forget
seasons.
here. Yes,
I
yeah,
feel
which
like
I
20
could,
years of my life like went by here and I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, no, same.
Oh my God.
I didn't realize like seasons were a thing or years, honestly, until I had a child. I'm like, now I see how fast time moves. You know, when you have a
Yes.
kid and you watch them, obviously, you know.
Yes.
So you have loved being a parent in the city, and
Yeah.
and you think you'll stay there forever, like even when the kids leave.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard. I don't know.
I mean, you don't have to make that decision now.
I would love to be in Europe more. We spent a lot of time in Austria, and I would love to have something over there. That would be amazing.
Yeah, that would be me. I've never been there, but that sounds amazing.
Oh my God, it's like a storybook.
Yeah. Ugh. Okay, so tell me now, like, what a day looks like for you right now.
my God, it's different all the time, but it's basically, I don't know. I would say some iteration of like me needing to write something and post it, or write something and email it to somebody to give me notes on it. And then
writing in terms of like what kind of writing? Like writing, well, I have a screenplay that like I'm in the middle of. Amazing.
I have a book proposal that just went out, and then I have 2 Substacks. So
Amazing.
It's a lot of writing.
Yeah, a lot.
It always feels like I'm counting words, you know?
Do you enjoy writing?
Yeah. I mean, like I have to write. Yes. I mean, I can't imagine not writing.
Yeah.
That's where I really get to, I don't know, just like unpack everything and like process.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. It's also like journaling and diarying, like you're putting it all out there. Yes. Like kind of like how I was
even when
telling
you're
you
writing
doing
fiction,
here.
it's like you're writing memoir.
Completely based off some sort of like, reality.
I always feel like my like fiction work is like so much more like accurate. Like I'm lying more in the memoir to protect people than I am when I'm just writing fiction.
Right, because it has fiction on it, nobody will know the difference. Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, and what are the 2 different Substacks?
So I do one with Diablo Cody where we go back and forth and ask each other personal questions.
Amazing.
And that's fun. And then the other one is called The Best Friend Experience. And that one usually it's where my podcast, the video of my, like the whole video lives there. You can get, God, I mean, it's like anything. It's like sometimes we did like a giveaway for like a Chanel bag.
Oh my God.
No, we do crazy shit there.
Yeah, because I was seeing you have also like a whole vintage aspect of your, I want to talk about that, but I want to get back. Yeah. Okay. So you have, so there's the one Substack that kind of is like the home for everything that you're up to.
Yes.
And then the other one with Diablo Cody.
Yes.
Okay. Amazing. I need to like get more into Substack.
It's hard. It's hard to get into. I have to say, like even people who, enjoy reading, it's like the app has some, it's
things.
It's not like perfect.
You could do a newsletter where you could be in control of it. I
just don't want the newsletter because I like them dealing with all the back end.
Yeah. True.
That's kind of nice.
Yeah. That makes sense. Okay. So your morning is you wake up.
Yes, my morning is like I walk the kids to school, or I walk one to the bus, and then I'll usually try to write. Maybe I'll get distracted. Maybe I'll start trying on vintage clothing and posting that.
Yeah.
Then Caroline will usually show up and be like, Jenny, we have to go record a podcast. So like we'll walk to Soho, record the podcast, then I'll come back and claim that I'm going to start writing again. Mm-hmm. And then I get waylaid by something else. I really need an office. That's the one thing that's hard.
Mm-hmm. I'm the same. We got an office during COVID, but then I was never going actually.
Yeah, I was wondering, do you use the office? That's my fear is that I won't use it.
We ended up renting it out because I don't use it. I'm
scared about that.
When I'm home, I'm like, why would I get ready to go somewhere else and work? Like nobody's
especially in
home.
LA, I would never drive to an office in LA.
So, but then it would be nice to have a designated space to feel productive. That's like not in my home.
Because how old is?
He's 7.
Oh, yeah.
So he's mostly, he's in school every day.
But does he guilt you the way my 7-year-old does, where he's like, you're always working?
Yes, for sure.
Because he has to see it.
Yes.
If I were at work, I don't think I'd be traumatizing him in the same way.
No, for sure. It would kind of probably be out of sight, out
You're
of mind.
choosing
And like
this
mom
over
gets
me.
home from work at a certain time, and that's just what happens. Like
Right.
when my dad came home from work at 6 p.m. and like that's just what it was.
Exactly.
Like we weren't bugging him. He didn't have a phone.
You weren't saying, you're choosing this over me.
No.
You're addicted to your work.
Yeah.
I get a lot of that.
Your kids give a little guilt about that.
Oh, they're the best at guilt.
The best at guilt?
They're so good at
I can't
guilting.
wait for that.
Oh, they're so good at guilting.
Yeah.
Yeah, they work it.
Oh my God. Okay. So, and then are you like making lunch for yourself? Or are you usually like going out to lunch? How are you feeding yourself?
I don't know. I mean, usually it's like
You sound
my
like me.
nanny, Sylvia, who's like sort of I don't even know what she is anymore. She's sort of, I don't even know. It's so weird to call her
house manager.
Either of them a nanny because she's there. And like, they're not really nannies in the traditional sense because my kids aren't that age.
Right.
But I guess they're nannies to me. They take care of me. And Sylvia's usually like making me some sort of, I don't know, meatball or crudité platter.
That sounds amazing. That sounds lovely.
Like, I would say 70% of her job is just like cooking for me personally.
That's I think that's great.
It's so funny.
Like food is an important part of, and I think for me, like I have admitted to myself that I am not going to learn how to cook or take time to do it. So like, I think we have to decide where our resources are best spent, you know, like where our time is best spent.
Yes. Yeah. That's funny.
And at the end of the night, are you cooking for your family?
I do cook sometimes. Okay. Lately, no, I haven't because I really haven't been around lately. I've just been slammed lately.
Yeah.
But, no, I do like to cook. Okay. I feel like having kids like taught me how to cook.
Yeah.
But now, you know, I did this kids cookbook, and oftentimes I'll be like, Sylvia, make the meatballs. Sylvia, make the muffins. You know, so now I have things that I can sort of like farm out to others.
Right. That makes sense. So you would say like your schedule is definitely more all over the place.
Yes,
like it's
I'm
not.
A mess.
You're not like you don't have a consistent schedule or like. Yeah. No, don't say you're a mess. I think that sometimes. Messy. But I can be, again, like that too. And I'm trying to, instead of like tell myself that I'm a mess, just be like, this is how I operate, and like give myself grace and try to find some sort of like structure within it.
I wish that it's the only thing is like, I feel like I just spread myself too thin.
Yeah.
So I create the chaos. Mm-hmm. And that's the only thing.
Yeah.
I wish that I could adhere to a schedule. And honestly, like when I'm on a writing project, I will, like, not this one now because I've had to stop so many times. But like when I'm doing a book, I can also like hyper focus and spend every waking hour working like on 9 to fucking 5 just pounding when I know I have like, you know, okay, this is 75,000 words. Like I'm not going anywhere. So I do have that ability, but lately, I don't know, maybe I'm just like, I'm really all over the place.
I think, I feel like spreading yourself thin will make it so that when you actually sit down to do your work, it won't be like quality work.
Yeah, it takes a while to get into it.
Totally. You have to learn to say no to some things.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you feel like is taking the most of your time at the moment, or like draining you the most?
I mean, Caroline, what do you think? What is taking up the most time?
Just like anything in your life, or like
the vintage.
Yeah. Okay. So talk to me about the vintage.
The vintage, but
so
I love it.
I was like looking on your social, and I saw that you have this whole other account where you're selling vintage. So this is your own vintage? Are you sourcing it? Like, because I'm so all about the vintage and the thrifting.
Oh my God, it's consuming a lot of my time.
Tell me everything.
But I'm making monies, and I'm like I'm able to do like crazy like charitable things.
That's amazing.
Like, you know, I'm excited about.
How did it start?
Well, it started because I was following this chick, and it started because Stephanie Mollen, who is one of the designers for Gemma Wynn. I don't know if you know Gemma Wynn.
Yes.
She was like, you need to follow this chick because she sells these vintage coats. And I started following her, and I was like, oh, this is like fascinating to me because she was raising money for Israel.
Okay.
And that's something I'm really passionate about. And so I was like, I want to figure out, you know, how I could also help in that way. And so I started just like, I got everything back. And simultaneously I got like in a fight with the Real.
Okay.
They sold something of mine that I didn't want them to sell. Aww. And I was like flipping. Aww. And so I got everything back, and I was like, I'm going to sell it on my own account, and then I can do whatever the fuck I want with the money.
Yeah.
And I was just like Venmoing people. I was like giving like postal service workers like $500. Like I was really like off my rocker. I didn't realize like what was legal and what wasn't.
Right. You were just like, it wasn't like an official situation.
I had thousands of dollars in my Venmo. Like it was insane.
Yeah.
But I was like, this is so fun. This is so exciting. And especially like for somebody who's sold books, like I can't tell you how healing it is to sell something people want, as opposed to like trying to pitch people on buy my fucking book, which is the most annoying thing to sell people is a book. To be like, do you guys want this YSL brand new with tags blazer? It's like everyone wants it, and it feels so good. I'm like, that was fun.
It's such a release, and then it's like you're doing good, and then it's also you're providing like a service, and the feeling of that transactional thing that you're not usually able to feel.
No, and I've never been a businesswoman, and so it's like empowering in the sense of like, you know, when you do a job, when you get paid to like write a movie or like, you know, I host this TV show with my husband. That's why we're here. We're shooting this show, Dinner and a Movie. I don't see the money, guys. Like it just goes to my business manager. I don't know. Did I get paid? Did I not get paid? I don't fucking know. So this is crazy. The transaction is so exciting. It's like I have a fucking lemonade stand.
Totally.
Like I'm like, oh, I got $10.
But
in my hands.
But that should motivate you to get in touch with your business manager and have him show you when money's being put in. Because then you'll see how you'll be.
But it doesn't feel the same.
It doesn't feel the same.
No, as somebody like literally paying your Shopify or like, no, it's different.
It's different. And you hear like the orders come in.
Ding!
And actually it's so true.
It's
when
so
I have
different.
like a merch drop and I'm managing it and I see that people actually want it. Yes.
It's
the feeling
a different
is different.
feeling.
No, you're so right. Okay. So you started just selling things from your own wardrobe.
Yes.
And is it still all things from your
now
wardrobe?
I have to sort. Are you kidding? My house was like empty. I sold everything. All my Chanel bag. I mean, yeah, like now my Chanel bags are all like new Chanel bags because I sold the ones that I had.
Are you regretting selling anything?
The yellow one that Diane has. I want that back, but she doesn't know I want it back. Diane, I didn't. I regret
sold
it.
a yellow Chanel that you want back? Oh no.
A mustard
Maybe you
yellow.
can
It
offer
went with everything.
her higher than she paid. And give it all to the charity.
Oh, she paid a lot. I don't know.
Is it a close friend?
No. I mean, they've all become friends. Like a lot of the audience. What's fun about the vintage is that I get to do these Instagram lives, and it's a community now of these women where like. I mean, I know them. I'm like, Ellen, you can't have any more. You have a shopping addiction.
Enough. Yeah.
You know, but you get to kind of do a show, and you're hosting like an hour or two evening and talking to them, and
that's really
and
fun.
I just love like to be able to like stand in front of people and talk and connect
and have that interaction.
Yeah.
My husband loves that too.
Yeah. So it's fun.
That is really fun.
But it does take up a lot of my time.
So you're sourcing and then having drops. How often?
I mean, I'm posting stuff daily usually.
Okay, so it's just like whenever you get something
ongoing
new
thing.
Amazing. Do people bid, or they're just you just set a price?
No, usually I just set a price.
Yeah,
because I'm not trying. Like, I'm not even like keystoning everything. I'm just like, I just want. I don't know, I want at the end of the year for my business manager to not be like, Jenny, what the fuck were you doing?
I mean, she won't.
Well, hopefully.
Or he won't. Yeah.
Hopefully. But like right now it's really just about like proving that like the business actually, the model works.
Right.
We don't know yet.
Right.
It's all still up in the air.
Up in the air. We'll keep on plugging away at it because I think it's so fun. And maybe you could do like
It's changed my wardrobe for sure. Like I feel now like I have such better like fashion sense, or like even just like the pieces in my wardrobe that I've actually kept, things I never would have owned, and I'm just like psyched on that.
Yeah, so refined. Were you into vintage shopping before this, or like thrifting?
I loved vintage furniture. Like I used to be like psycho about vintage furniture, and I went through a crazy rug phase. I love jewelry. So no, like I've gotten into like these weird sort of K-holes on things before.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, clothes, no, I was never like my sister's really like far more stylish than I am, and she has all the like stuff and the cool, you know, like brands, and no, I usually am just like dressed like a power lesbian, but like which is like, I mean, that's just my look. That's like what I want to look like, and that's what I think is the chicest. But but I didn't have like, no, I didn't have any like Mugler or like, you know,
collectors.
I didn't have like a Chanel jacket or anything before this.
Yeah, that's
I wasn't
so
that
fun.
girl.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm into purchasing and investing in right now. It's just like vintage and like more historical pieces. I just don't. I'm not like in the, I don't need to be buying newness all
I don't
want to
pay retail ever.
I don't know. I don't. And I like the idea that it's been owned by someone and there's like a history behind it.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And like that it's also just better for the environment. Like there's just so many things.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's also that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. And then tell me about your novel, City of Likes.
Oh my God. Which part? The behind
Just
the
tell
scenes or
me-
the actual novel? There's so much.
What's most juicy? What's most fun to listen to? Well, tell me about the gist of the novel, like what inspired you to write it, and then any juicy
So I got to New York. I was a new mom, and I was sort of thrust into this world of influencing. It was like 2015, and I was suddenly like, just by like, you know, only really like my only qualification was that like I was somewhat in the public eye and I had a baby. And those were the two like prerequisites, I guess, and that somehow I became an authority on motherhood. And so I was pushed into this world and suddenly I was selling everything from like, you know, I don't know, Botox to like feminine products to baby strollers,
diapers,
to, yeah,
rash cream,
exactly, and I like don't show my kids' faces ever because I just don't think, you know, I just personally like I couldn't do it.
Yeah,
I'm like I have too much anxiety.
That's interesting.
But
anxiety in terms of like people finding them.
I just don't want anybody to be able to recognize them at the park. You know, I mean, you live in LA, so it's also like a different perspective probably. But like in New York, I don't want somebody walking into the park and being like, "Oh, that's Jenny and Jason's son."
Yeah,
and I know his name. Hi,
Yeah.
Sid. Like, fuck that.
No,
like, I never wanted to do it, and I never wanted to like look back and have them like use that against me in therapy one day.
Totally.
But, like
they put me out there when it wasn't. It's my image. It's my
yeah, and also that like you like profited off of like me, and I wasn't like a willing participant necessarily. There was just so much in it, and I'm not a stage mom, and like I couldn't do it.
There's now laws, like there's a law in Illinois that's saying like a certain percentage of
can't
these
post your kid?
deals, if there is a child like featured in a video, a certain percentage needs to go in some sort of account for them. There's like some sort of law now.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know. Yeah.
Like, I'll whore out my dog, but like I don't want to like
like
I've
my
done
dog
like
has no
dog
soul.
food deals. I'm like, come on, Gina, yeah, pretend to eat it, Gina. But like I'm not gonna do that with my kids.
I get it. I feel icky. Like I'll do it. I do it. I show Sunny, but like it's not all in your face like a lot of people do. Yeah.
I just don't want anybody to even know anything about I don't know
that they don't need to. I understand. I understand.
So
it's a scary world.
So that's why like with the novel, it's why I did a novel instead of writing a third memoir at the time, because I didn't want to like cannibalize their childhood and like kind of like use that material and like expose things about them like for my work.
Totally.
I didn't feel like it was fair to like share their stories in that way. And so I knew it had to be fiction. And this was all happening to me. You know, I was like a new mom in New York City. I had this like crazy amount of clout because like New York is different. Like there aren't as many celebrities in New York. And not that I'm a celebrity, but it was like people saw that I had a platform that they could take advantage of, that they could sell their shit through. So I was being invited by all of these like powerful women to these events and to, you know, come support my brand here, come do this, come do that. And suddenly I'm in this world where it's like it's wealth like you've not LA money. It's wealth like you've never seen money.
Yeah.
And just like I'm looking around at these women like sort of almost like presenting. It's like almost like it's like they were playing motherhood.
Yeah,
you know,
completely.
It was like it wasn't real motherhood.
No,
but
they're just putting out there what they think the quintessential life looks like as a mother.
Yes, and like how it's portrayed, Fantasyland motherhood.
Yeah.
And I and I was like, I have to write about this.
Yeah.
I can't not see what I'm seeing and not write about like this fucking crazy world I'm getting sucked into. And so it is like a satire, and it's dark, and it's about a woman that gets like really, it's sort of like a female, it's like sort of a love triangle, and it's about a young mom who gets like sort of like swept up and under the influence of this like huge mommy influencer, and like their dynamic, and also like being in a relationship with a narcissist and female friendship, and it gets dark. And now like now it's like even crazier because of just like things that have come out in the news, and I'm like, oh my God, like
because it's based on certain real things.
There were real people that like I based some of this on, that like now things have happened. And I'm like, oh my God, I wasn't like trying to like prophesize some of this shit.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
But it's wild. It's
wild.
Yeah.
There needs to be a documentary about this.
Insane. You know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's insane.
Wow. Yeah, I need to now read this book. I'm like, I need a new book, and this is fun.
Oh yeah, this is juicy. It's fun.
I want like a juicy book, one that's like I can fall asleep to, but also that I can like listen like for fun when I need a little breather.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I like. Now, did I miss anything?
No.
Do you want to tell me about your podcast? You were saying, so your podcast is mostly interviewing.
So my podcast is called All the Fails.
Yes.
And I have various people, like all walks of life, come on, and I interview them about, just like, I don't want to talk about all of their triumphs. I want to talk about like the things that sort of made them, and we get really just like deep on this idea of the only way out of anything is through, and like what do you become after you hit rock bottom. Like that's, I think, where like the meat of any story is.
Yeah, totally. Where like any of the growth or change actually happens.
And like you see all these people. I have a lot of people that have come on, like, I have Ryan Serhant and Chelsea Handler, and just, I don't know, it runs the gamut, but I love to hear about like their like the places where they really struggle.
Yeah. Where it was really, really hard for them, and they had to pick themselves back up.
Yes.
Well, I'm excited because we're recording.
Yeah, because you're about to do it.
Yeah. But this was so much fun.
Thank you,
so
Whitney.
much
Thank
for
you so
coming
much.
on. Yay.